Yo, welcome back guys. We've got Jeff Buckley singing the song Dream Brother live in Chicago. So the two shows I grew up watching when I was a kid, we didn't have internet back then, we just had VHS and then DVD, had Stevie Ray Vaughan live at the El Macombo, and I had Jeff Buckley live in Chicago a few years later on DVD. And I used to watch these a fair few times. If you haven't seen this whole show, I think you can watch it through on YouTube, but it's a special one. Loads of amazing stuff, just insane vocals, insane musicianship, all that good stuff. So we'll react to this in a sec. Before we get started guys, I'm a vocal coach. I teach singing lessons online over Skype. I have another channel and an ebook called Becoming a Natural Singer. Check out the links in the description. Right, let's dig in and press play. We'll pause here and there to talk about what's going down. Now at the start of this, it's the start of the show. One thing you'll notice in a sec is Jeff kind of does a vocal warm-up. Just like on a light, low compression sound, the chords connect gently and he just navigates through his range, up through his bridge, and kind of thins his voice out just to get it pliable and kind of get some motion in it. And he kind of does this just at the start of the show to kind of get going. The other thing you notice here is he's kind of improvising through some chords. His strength as a musician was less his kind of riff chops, should we say. It's more his broad understanding of how harmony works, how chords interact, how a set of chords need to move somewhere and come back to resolve and all this type of thing. And here we go with the warm-up anyway. And we're going to pause here and there because he just kind of the interesting thing about Jeff is he's kind of like 90% of the time he's totally and utterly locked into the technique, and then here and there he just totally who knows where he's going. And it's a great mixture. It's kind of his wild personality, like controlled but wild at the same time. And you'll hear the control right here. And that lovely connected head voice, thinning out up high. There we go. And that's the warm-up I was talking about. And then he ends on talking quality. An absolute pro at finding the right kind of squeeze. It's a good example of someone that goes beyond the knowledge that most people have, the vast majority, even a lot of so-called experts, had a deeper understanding of all this. More on a fundamental level and understanding of what needs to happen when you're a singer than a kind of trained type sound.
There is a child sleeping near his twin. The pictures go wild in a rush of wind. That dark angel he's shuffling in, watching over them.
And this is bread and butter right here. Generally always starts on a kind of light stroke medium compression right in the middle ground between talking and that heady quality. And that's how he really just builds everything from there in terms of developing a song. And he's a good example of a singer without any manipulation, just not shaping the sound at all really in terms of, opening the throat or any of that stuff. Just absolutely flat. That's where most modern singers are nowadays. And right there is when we first start gripping a little bit more on the vocal cords. The chords are coming a little bit closer together right there through that phrase. here we go. It's more of a fuller quality right now. The chords are connecting more firmly. The thing with Jeff is he moves in and out of compression levels so quick you'll miss it at times. Sometimes it's more obvious than others. So right here you hear a very obvious shift in compression. Check it out. Here. Yeah? Gone from this to this. Look heavier to lighter compression. But you notice earlier in the verse when we were building up at the start, this middle ground between light and medium, like this, there's a shift, is tiny and it's very nuanced in between, just even within words of a phrase. So he could have very obvious dramatic shifts in closure and very subtle, delicate shifts in closure. That's one of the reasons why he was ahead of his time, so should we say. And right here, you kind of got a little bit of that coming in, a little bit more grind on the chords, and that's where he starts to kind of, drift away from that pure quality, kind of go more into just what do I feel like. Now let's do back on this heady quality. This is how high you can thin this out right here. It's like up to like G above high C. And he's like not like a light tenor like a Bruno Mars. It's kind of more in the middle ground for tenors. Right there. So hard to do that. Pretty thick quality really, considering how high it is. It's not as small as some other guys need to get. Bring it down.
Don't be like the one who made me so old. Don't be like the one who left behind his name.
Now we're back to this medium light spot.
Like I've waited for mine and nobody ever came.
That's nice. And you're going to build up here, but let me just break this down. So what I mean by this medium light spot is a lot of the verse here is everything that's underpinning it is this kind of quality. It's right here. It's not heavy, but it's also not too light. It's kind of in that spot. When he leans in, the chords connect more firmly. That's really what's underpinning all of this, and underpinning a lot of the knowledge that I have is just how do we get the chords to work independently of the rest of what's going on. If you can do that, then all you're really doing is you're just dealing with different levels of closure, and everything above that is just the shaping and colouring of the sound. From there, you don't even have to think about singing. It's the easiest thing in the world. And that's the irony of great singing, is for these guys, it's vastly easier than difficult or bad singing, should we say. Good singing is so easy, it makes you sick. Bad singing is so hard, you would hardly believe how hard, at least for gifted singers. They wouldn't believe how hard it can be, in all honesty.
Don't be like the one who made me so old. Don't be like the one who left behind his name. 'Cause they're waiting for you like I'm waiting for mine. Nobody ever came. Nobody ever.
Now right there, even though it distorts and he's doing it deliberately, it's kind of a light kind of quality. It's not as abusive as it might sound. Saying there, the Nightwish video the other day, there's different levels of distortion in terms of how risky they are in the long term. That it's not so much, but other points in the song, not in this song, but in other songs he does in this show, kind of takes it a bit further. We'll never really know where Jeff would have ended up as a singer with his approach. Certainly very close to the boundaries in terms of healthy singing and what you can do healthily, but we're never really going to know because unfortunately he died at like 32, I think.
With your head in your hands and her kiss on the lips of another. Your eyes to the ground and the
He gets that very airy quality on that heady sound, which is very hard to get, especially when you've got a coordinated voice like his. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. And again, where's it over? This over. The way he's kind of clamping down on that a little bit, it's not the most unhealthy spot you could get in. Now you could micro through this whole show, this whole song, and literally go phrase by phrase and break down exactly what he's doing. And that's what I typically do in terms of, when I'm working through, how do I put a voice together that's great? How do I put something together that's really solid? You have to go into a lot more detail than I'm going into here. But it would be like a six hour video if I was gonna go through every phrase and tell you exactly what's happening in terms of the coordination underneath. The interesting thing about Jeff is that he's very close to the line in terms of what you can do and sustain over the long term. And it's an interesting discussion to get into because a lot of voice coaches obviously talk about making sure that you're singing healthily. And that's all well and good. And me personally, I'm completely for that. Like the way I sing is for the long term. Like I want a sense of I'm going to be able to sing the same in 10 years, in 15 years time. I don't want to have to face that kind of compromise. Now, that being said, people aren't all the same. Some singers and some artists, they have such a need to express something that's deep and dark, quite in all honesty at times, inside themselves, like to emote, pure, like absolutely unrestrained. Sometimes that need leads towards coordinations that, whilst aren't going to damage the voice immediately, over time they can put wear and tear and fatigue on the voice. I'm thinking of singers like Jimmy Necco would be another good example. Singers who are technically great, but they're having to manage that technique with their desperate need to get something out that frankly most people don't have even within their character, let alone the ability to put it all together and put it out in music. So there's a balancing act for some singers, not for all singers, but for some, they have to manage their personality with the technique. And it's not a simple equation. So keep this in mind, guys, when you're judging singers and thinking about, she shouldn't be doing that, that's really bad. He shouldn't be doing that, it's really bad. Like, the equation isn't as simple as that, because you have to realise these artists, a lot of them, they're crazy. And I mean that in a positive way. Like, people don't seem to realise that there are places that certain personality types go to in their mind. They're such adventurous thinkers. Their personality goes in such deep, there's more depth to it that it's very hard for them to manage healthy technique with their emotions, because their natural instinct is so far outside and off center that there's this constant kind of contact between these two things. Like, am I going to express myself freely, or am I going to, be, very concerned about keeping my voice in the utmost healthiest spot for eternity, at least, till you get old. That compromise is vastly harder for some people to make than others. That compromise is very real for some singers, and it's not a compromise for others. People have a personality that's more conforming in nature, that is less adventurous in nature. All those things mean that they don't have those types of difficult compromises to make because their character naturally fits within healthy, longevity-focused technique. I wanted to get that out because it's something I haven't spoken about before, and it's an absolute key thing for coaches to understand, is that it's not always about, it's not always about singing the healthiest way forever. There are other things at play, and there are other demands that singers have for themselves, and there are other forces at work, should we say. As always, guys, hit me up in the comments, let me know your thoughts, and if you liked this video, hit the thumbs up. If you've loved it, hit the subscribe, and have a great day wherever you are, whatever you're up to. I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye.